Longitudinal Fluid Dynamic Analysis of Autophagy Proxy Index, API, using ViscoplasTopology model, a 16-year study of fasting, sleep, diet, and physical activity, number 1467, VPT-029, December 16, 2025, Gerald C. EclaireMD Foundation. Category Longevity, Autophagy, and Fluid Dynamics. Preface. This article is a rewritten version of my previous paper, Longitudinal Analysis of Autophagy Proxy Index, API, using viscoplastic energy model and topological data analysis methods, a 16-year study of fasting duration, sleep duration, diet and physical activity, from 2010 to 2025. Number 1391, VMT-727, TDA-011, October 15, 2025. Solid-VMT and Fluid-VMT, same reality, different perspectives. Both VMT-fluid and VMT-solid analyze the same underlying biomedical reality and therefore lead to consistent conclusions about disease, burden, progression, development, and finally disease outcomes. The difference lies in perspective, emphasis, interpretation, and stage of observation, not in contradiction of analysis results. VMT-solid focuses on the final state or late-stage manifestations of disease. It treats organs and tissues as solid structures and emphasizes rigidity, permanent deformation, and part of irreversible damages. Typical examples include vascular calcification, myocardial scarring, renal fibrosis, nerve injury, and structural brain damage after stroke or dementia. Solid-based VMT is most suitable when the dominant features are stiffness, loss of elasticity, dynamic plastic damages, and failure of structure. VMT fluid focuses on the upstream and progressive phases of disease. It treats metabolism, body weight, glucose regulation, and lifestyle behaviors as flow-regulated systems. The emphasis is on strain rate, resistance, regulation, adaptation, and cumulative energy dissipation. Fluid-based VMT is most suitable when the dominant features are transport, throughput, viscosity like resistance, and time-dependent regulation. In simple terms, solid VMT explains what has already become rigid and damaged. Fluid VMT explains how the system flows, adapts, overloads, and eventually becomes damaged. The results are consistent because fluid dysfunction precedes solid damage. Prolonged high energy, poorly regulated flow in the fluid phase eventually produces irreversible deformation in the solid phase. Fluid VMT explains the process. Solid VMT explains the outcome. Therefore, the two approaches are complementary. Fluid VMT describes progression and opportunity for reversal. Solid VMT describes the end stage and limits of recovery. My statement that solid VMT focuses on final stage rigidity, while fluid VMT focuses on intermediate flow behavior, and progression is accurate and conceptually sound. On the other hand, topology does not model material properties. It models shape. TDA examines how data points are arranged, connected, clustered, and contracted in geometric space. It does not care whether the system is interpreted as a rigid structure undergoing deformation, solid VMT, a flowing system undergoing regulation and resistance changes, fluid VMT, as long as the same variables are used and the same system evolution occurs. The geometric trajectory in data space remains the same. Therefore, solid VMT improvement produces geometric contraction. Fluid VMT improvement produces geometric contraction. TDA detects the same contraction. This is why my TDA plots remain valid and consistent across both interpretations of VMT-solid and VMT-fluid. Introduction. Why autophagy requires a fluid perspective. Autophagy is the body's intrinsic cellular self-cleansing process. It recycles damaged proteins and organelles to maintain cellular efficiency and survival. This process is regulated by an internal energy sensing balance. When the body senses low energy or fasting, it shifts toward repair and cellular cleanup. When nutrients are abundant, it shifts toward growth and storage. Unlike fibrosis, scarring, or calcification, abnormal calcium buildup in tissues, which involve tissue hardening and largely permanent damage. Autophagy is not about structures becoming stiff or broken. It is a continuous process. It behaves like flow circulation, not structure construction. For this reason, autophagy is better modeled as a fluid dynamic system, rather than a solid deformation system. Its success depends on how smoothly energy, nutrients, and cellular waste move through the system over time. This study extends my prior 9-year autophagy work into a 16-year longitudinal analysis from 2010 to 2025, using fluid viscoplastic medicine theory and topological data analysis to quantify both energetic efficiency and geometric stability of the autophagy system. Methodology. Fluid VPT interpretation of API. 4 normalized lifestyle variables were used as inputs, and also analyzed as flow regulators. 1. Fasting hours regulate nutrient inflow timing. 2. Food quality regulates biochemical viscosity. 3. Sleep hours regulate repair rhythm and clearance cycles. 4. Walking steps regulate circulation velocity. Each variable was normalized to a healthy reference state, representing optimal laminar flow, a fluid mechanics term for smooth, steady movement without turbulence, meaning efficient internal circulation without congestion, blockage, or wasted energy. The Autophagy Proxy Index, API, was defined as, in the Fluid-VMT framework, API represents flow resistance or impedance. A higher API indicates turbulent, inefficient internal circulation. A lower API indicates smooth, laminar autophagic flow. VMT fluid energy represents energy lost to turbulence, congestion, and inefficient regulation rather than stored structural damage. VMT fluid analysis results. Long-term flow improvement. From 2010 to 2025, API declined from approximately 147 to 84, representing a 43% reduction in internal flow resistance. This indicates a substantial improvement in autophagic circulation efficiency. Cumulative VMT energy efficiency rose rapidly between 2010 and 2013, exceeded 90% by 2013, and stabilized above 99% after 2015. The near-flat energy curve from 2015 onward indicates a stable, low turbulence flow regime maintained despite aging. In Solid-VMT, an energy plateau represents plastic saturation. However, in Fluid-VMT, an energy plateau represents steady-state laminar flow. Before 2013, metabolic energy was lost through turbulence, caused by irregular eating patterns, insufficient fasting windows, inconsistent sleep, and low physical activity. Between 2013 to 2015, turbulence dissipated rapidly as flow regulators aligned. After 2015, the system entered a self-regulating equilibrium. By 2025, cumulative energy efficiency reached approximately 99.9%, indicating near total elimination of lifestyle-induced flow inefficiency. Energy input was efficiently recycled. Autophagic clearance became continuous rather than episodic. Aging did not reintroduce turbulence. TDA interpretation. Geometric flow channel convergence. Topological data analysis reveals how behavioral variables reorganize geometrically over time. Early years showed wide dispersion, analogous to chaotic multi-stream flow. Middle years showed gradual channel alignment. Later years converged into a compact, stable flow corridor. This contraction does not indicate loss of adaptability. It reflects reduced variance, improved coordination, and stable regulation across all four behavioral dimensions. Comparison of VMT and TDA influence hierarchies. Fluid interpretation. VMT ranks variables by kinetic energy dissipation. Walking steps dominate energy clearance. Fasting hours reduce inflow shocks. Sleep stabilizes repair cycles. Diet fine-tunes viscosity. TDA ranks variables by structural reorganization of flow paths. Fasting hours produce the deepest channel redirection. Diet narrows dispersion. Sleep maintains rhythm. Walking sustains velocity. These differences are complementary, not contradictory. VMT measures energy loss. TDA measures channel geometry, energy reduction and geometric contraction. The observed 315-fold reduction in VMT energy corresponds to a major reduction in turbulence intensity. In four-dimensional TDA space, this corresponds to approximately 76% geometric shrinkage, meaning the system consolidated into about 1/4 of its original chaotic flow volume. In fluid terms, the system evolved from a wide, unstable delta into a narrow, efficient canal. Conclusion: why Fluid-VMT fits autophagy and longevity. Solid-VMT is best suited for irreversible damage, while Fluid-VMT is best suited for process-driven biology. Autophagy is not about repairing broken structures. It is about maintaining continuous internal circulation. This 16-year autophagy study demonstrates that disciplined lifestyle behaviors, progressively smooth metabolic flow, reduce turbulence, and establish a stable autophagic equilibrium that persists with aging. Fluid dysfunction precedes solid damage. By correcting flow early, structural failure can often be delayed or avoided. Fluid-VMT explains the process, but Solid-VMT explains the outcome. Together, they form a unified and consistent system for understanding health, disease progression, and longevity. Disclaimer: this content is for educational reference only, and does not constitute medical advice. No doctor-patient relationship is created. You may share this summary freely, but it must not be altered, edited, or republished as your own. All intellectual property rights and copyrights belong to the author. Gerald C.